Look at you.
Hello.
One of the rising faces in pop in Nashville.
I'm trying.
I mean, honestly, I think I can say that. There's a growing pop scene here, and you're like
Yeah.
one of the leading faces.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, you got to make your own opportunities in this city. And I've been very grateful and lucky that I've been able to connect with so many amazing pop artists, especially female pop artists, and have some showcases and put on my own shows. But I'm ready to hop on and play some ones that I'm not going to run myself, even though I love doing that. But
How's the pop scene in Nashville?
like you said, it's growing. It's really cool. It's kind of doing its own thing.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to be here and to be a part of it.
Okay. Because I mean, like, just from your background, I think it's incredible. I mean, the fact that you moved from LA.
I did.
I mean, let's start with that, Qwynn, because I think it's incredible that you moved to LA from Ohio, literally like at the edge of 18, like you were just 18.
Yep.
I mean, such fearlessness in your spirit. And like, first of all, where does that come from? Does that come from your family? Does it come from your upbringing? Like,
Yeah.
fearlessness, you know?
So I've always loved to perform, and I have a very perfectionist personality and such a drive. I think I get that from my dad. But as a kid growing up, I was a competitive figure skater. I hurt my knees, loved to perform, always wanted to try to be on the stage. So my mom signed me up for a theater summer camp, and here we are.
Well,
Shortly after doing theater.
when you signed up for that?
Oh my God, I was 11.
You were 11?
So I've been in the entertainment industry and like acting world, modeling, and music since I was like 13 professionally.
Yeah.
So it's been a decade, which is like so crazy to say.
Sure.
But I can't imagine doing anything else. And I wanted to do this my whole life. And here we are.
Is there a moment or something? Like, because you were 11, I mean, was there like someone you saw on TV, something, a show you saw?
Gosh, I was always watching TV, like always watching TV and movies. Whenever I get home from school or after like a practice of some sort, I would be in my room watching Netflix and like observing these actresses. Jennifer Aniston, she's one of my favorites, and Reese Witherspoon. I love them so much. But I was a big musical theater kid, and I decided that I also wanted to pursue music and TV film acting kind of separately, and do the both of them. And I started working with a vocal coach, ended up doing a showcase in Chicago, and met talent agents and managers and some music people. And at the same time I started coming to LA, I started coming to Nashville to work. And it was kind of, I loved both, and I was actively pursuing both. But when sometimes, you know, I kind of needed a break from the other, not necessarily a break, but wanted to be creative in different ways, I would come to Nashville or I would go back to LA, obviously still while finishing school. And it was really cool. My mom and dad have always been so supportive. When I was a senior in high school, my second semester, I did completely remote online, and my mom went down to LA with me for pilot season so that I could audition and be in class in high school. So, we were down there for about 3 months, and I booked a couple things and came home to graduate high school and just immediately moved right back out. And then COVID happened, which was crazy because this was 2019 going into 2020. And I was like, damn, you know, this is kind of crazy. I went through a lot of life changes after that had happened. In the beginning of 2021, I started to focus kind of more on myself. I was going through a breakup and, you know, first real one.
Sure.
And was really enjoying my life with my friends, but I felt like I was becoming supportive best friend to everyone else's main character life, and I was losing myself a little bit. And I was like, what am I doing? I need to check myself right there.
Sure.
I'm just gonna, my lease is up at my place, you know, I'm gonna put my stuff in storage, and I'm just gonna go to Nashville for a month. A month, maybe 2 is what I initially thought. And 5 months later, I was living in Franklin at the time. I was like, you know what? No, I really like this music I'm gonna do. This music I'm making feels really authentic, and I want to do it. I'm gonna move here. So I was like, but if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna get a day job, which is gonna be bartending, which I'm still doing, and I'm gonna move downtown. And that's what I did.
Wow.
So I moved. I was 20 years old when I moved here.
Unreal. How time flies.
It's so crazy.
To unpack there, Qwynn.
Sorry, that was a lot.
No.
Like all at once.
Your story is amazing, and a lot. I could go in so many directions, but let's go back to Gilmore for a second. Sure. To your school. The fact that like you did all this, but you were also like, you know, like in the cheerleading thing.
Mm-hmm.
You were the president of the drama club. Like you were doing all this accomplishment, playing volleyball, I believe. And you were doing all the things you said.
Yeah, I was an ambitious little stinker.
An ambitious little stinker. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Like how did you manage to, and I'm sure you had a great social life as well. Like, how did you manage to keep it all like balanced? And I mean that, that's
I don't know. I guess I never really knew any different because that was just always my normal was busy and just going.
yeah. You just knew like where you were headed.
Yeah. And everything that I was doing, I was seeing it kind of as a vessel to get me to the next place in my life.
Sure.
And I couldn't be more happy or more proud. I mean, obviously, I've been doing a lot of reflecting recently and looking back to like who I was when I moved to LA, who I was when I moved here. And now I'm 24 and I feel like I know less about life.
The more you see, the less you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I know who I am at my core, but I'm still discovering and figuring out who I am as I continue to grow and face challenges and fail and pick myself back up and keep going. And that's just life and the evolution of who we are. But yeah, I don't know. And now this EP's out and I'm like, well, all right, on to the next.
Yeah. Now, by the way, it comes out. It's fantastic. And we'll talk about the songs in a second.
Yeah.
But that you just mentioned, Qwynn, I love it because you actually did a social media post about it. Really heartfelt. Really
I did.
To heart. It was like, it was awesome.
Thank you.
But has that been hard? And what I mean is this, Qwynn. It seems like, yes, like you're always someone that thrives on certainty. And like it seemed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's always like I am gonna get it myself, that certainty. Like I'm not gonna depend on anybody.
Yeah, I'm independent. I'm an Aquarius, so
great. I love But obviously this industry, and you talk about it, there's a part that is just uncertain.
Oh my gosh.
It's just out of like everyone's control. It's just like you gotta let it go. Has that been, you talk a little bit about it, but has that been a little bit hard or a little bit almost enlightening to kind of like let go of that at this time in your life?
Well, let me tell you something. I discovered, like truly discovered that I am a people pleaser at the very core. And I'm an empath through and through. So I feel things very deeply. And of course it helps with my artistry and my writing. But I had an approach to things as like, all right, I'm going to meet these people. I'm going to get them to like me and do what I can to get on their good side authentically. But I always put people on a pedestal and didn't really allow myself to see that I was no different than they were. I mean, we're just people, right? And I think that when I moved to Nashville, I got COVID, like a really, really bad COVID when I had first come here in 2021. And it did a lot of really horrible things to my body. And it took me about 7 months to fully recover from all of the effects that I had. And just like my gut health. And your gut is your second brain. And I started experiencing horrible anxiety, so chronic. I couldn't sleep. I was working out 6 days a week. I gained weight. And I was holding on to all of this inflammation and stress in my body. And, it got to the point where like my clothes didn't fit. And I've always been like a string bean. I've always been like a twig. So when like I'm doing all these things, I'm eating really well, I'm making this music, but I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if I was staying here in Nashville or moving back to LA or like what my next moves were. And I think that just the uncertainty of like what I was doing and how sick my body was, I had to take a step back and be like, okay, we need to make decisions here. These hard times, I'm seeing like, wow, I am just a human being and I can pull myself out of this. So I really holistically tried to start to heal my body, and I started taking medication to help with my anxiety. And I think that there's a stigma around that of like, oh, she's, you have to take medication to really get back up. No, like it's a stigma and you have to do what you got to do to help you get back to who you are sometimes when you lose it, whether it's, the physical sickness became a mental and emotional thing. And
a loop.
It was a very hard loop to break.
Absolutely.
But doing that and holistically healing and the medication, I was able to come out of that. And when I moved downtown, and I mean, obviously we're human beings. There's going to be ups and downs, highs and lows. But I feel like I've gotten more more of the anxiety and stuff under control. And but it's hard, and it's not always it's nothing that you can control fully, but all you can do is just kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna give myself grace today. It's okay. I'm gonna do what I can.
Yeah.
And if I can only give this much today, that's okay, because that's what I'm able to give. And that's something that for a perfectionist that's like so driven, it's like, whoa, how do this is ridiculous. Like, why can't I be productive today? But I've turned to my songwriting to help heal that. And I think it's a very universal thing that people maybe feel but don't know how to fully emote or talk about. And I want my music to be a place where people can come to and be like, oh, I feel understood.
Yeah.
She gets it. And this is a really unique, beautiful way of saying, hey, it's okay, or yeah, sorry. I'm like, I lost my mind a little bit, but kind of turning back to like the people pleasing. Once I went through that, I became a lot more resilient, but a lot more emotionally tapped in. And I realized, like, Qwynn, we're all just human beings. Everyone is, you worked your way to be where you are today, and you deserve the things that God puts in your corner, And that mindset just flipped everything for me. And I was like, no, I do deserve to be here. I deserve to be in these rooms. I'm a great person, and I love to be friends with everybody, and you do not have to people please and make other people like you to seek approval or win.
Right. Right.
And ever since that switch flipped, I've been so much happier.
Yeah.
And just ready to just keep on going. And I said, taking life by the balls in my little social media video. But I think it's really important to just remember that we're all human beings, and your work and your heart speaks for itself.
Yeah. Thank you so much for opening up like that. And it is true. Like, and you see it in the EP, songs like Dead Weight or whatever. But I get the sense that this, like, since you moved here, the songwriting and everything has, in a way, been therapeutical for you.
Oh, very.
Because like, you were always like such a high achiever from when you were young, and all that, and with that, if you're not in the right mindset, like you said, comes like pressure to be like Miss Perfect or whatever.
Sure. And the only person that's putting that pressure on myself is me.
You. That's right. Your head. Because if you're your head, you're dead.
Yep.
Exactly. And I think with this new songs, you're less in your head and more in your heart.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And it shines through.
Thank you. I'm so glad.
I mean, first of all, before anything, like, congratulations.
Thank you.
Because
Thank you, Jamie.
That's a big breakthrough. And it shows in your art. And, it shows in your spirit and with your relationships and with everything. It's just gonna, like, that's amazing. And
thank you.
To have that breakthrough at that age, that's badass.
I feel like I'm a very old soul. I feel like I'm on my 5th life, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you say that, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I mean, working and with adults growing up, like working on TV film sets, like I was always around so many people that were older than me.
Yeah.
And I had a fake ID when I was young, so I was like going out in LA. Exactly, right? Right. I would go out all the time, and just got to see people in so many different lights, especially now being a bartender. I see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and people from literally all over the world, which is so crazy. But that's another thing that kind of helps with the writing and the authenticity and the realizing that, hey, we're all just people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you miss acting?
I do. And that's another thing too that I loved to do, and I want to get back into it. I actually have been thinking about auditing some classes here in Nashville. I kind of just took a break from acting a little bit to focus fully on music, and that's what I feel like I needed to do for that time. But I'm getting the itch again.
Yeah.
You get the itch again.
I mean, you have attitudes. You're a creative, multitude person.
I'm gonna get back in class.
Yeah. Let me ask you about your brother, Connor.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that has always driven you is giving, and that's really cool. You've always been big about giving. The secret to living is giving, I believe. So
totally.
So you have tell us a little bit about your brother, obviously, how that has affected the way you approach life and the way you approach your art.
Yeah, I am very close with my family. My parents have always been so incredible and loving and supportive of all of their children, and have helped put us in places where we want to be successful. And Connor, I have two brothers. So my younger brother, Brennan, he's 20, and Connor's 26 on the autism spectrum. Connor always did everything that Brennan and I did. When we all skated, Brennan played hockey, Connor took skating lessons.
Right.
We would do like skiing and stuff in the winter. Connor would take private lessons and ski. He'd do the same things that we would. And obviously, as he got older, his needs changed, and we pivot and adjust. And growing up with a sibling with special needs, I was always very sensitive to people and their intentions. And I feel like, can I swear?
Of course.
Okay. So I feel like I had a very good bullshitometer very early on. And if, like, even as a kid, I would never bring a friend over the house that I didn't feel would be like open and embracing and loving towards Connor.
Sure.
And Connor is my favorite person on this planet. And he is such a ball of joy and light and sunshine. And he thrives in routine and knowing what's coming next, who he's going to be around, what his plans are. But my dad has a saying. He says that Connor lives in the garden and we live in the world. And we have the ability to come in and out of that garden and tend to it and take care of it. But Connor gets to experience just the beauty of the garden. So back in 2018, my dad and my family, we decided to start a 501c3 nonprofit to help dependent young adults or dependent adults with disabilities, because after these kids with special needs, they grow up, and when they turn 21, they don't have help from the school systems anymore. They have to go and find their own opportunities or their own grants from the state. And being able to find a job or a program that they can be in to help them, continue to progress instead of digress or revert back to, old behaviors that make them more closed off. It's such a journey, and it's not linear. It's all over the place. But we wanted to fill the need of that void of support for those young adults that need to have opportunities to do an arts program, right? Or music therapy, or a grant to do a job program, or help with transportation. And there's so much more that we want to do with Connor's Hope, but we've been able to provide a lot of those grants so far for these young adults around the community in Northeast Ohio. And that's something that I want to eventually bring to Nashville, or even make it nationally known. It's journey, but I think that we're making an impact in Northeast Ohio where Connor is. But it's so important to, something that I've always wanted to have is a voice to help people that don't feel like they have one, regardless of who you are, whatever walk of life you're in.
Yeah.
And I think that shows through the music. And yeah, back to my ambition, I guess. But I want there to always be a place for people like Connor to feel seen and heard and understood and given opportunities to thrive just as anybody else can.
Yeah.
And it's possible. I've seen it. It's how I grew up. And obviously there's going to be differences, and you have to be flexible and, willing to make changes where there needs to be changes, and be patient and open and non-judgmental. And Connor's Hope provides those needs for those kids. And it's a really beautiful thing that we've been able to do, and I'm so grateful that we're able to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so great that you have like a higher purpose.
Yes.
Art.
I feel like, a lot of people in this industry, it can be very ego-driven sometimes, but I'm doing this because I love it, and I get to build a voice and a platform which allows me to give back eventually. That's my goal.
Yeah.
And
ironically enough, that opens the universe to a whole different, like,
completely.
because you're in it for the right reasons.
Totally.
So that's great. That's great, Qwynn. Thanks for your time. Let's talk about the EP for a second.
Yes.
It's out now. It's been out now. So great. Every song is great. You co-wrote with some friends of our show from Grisfolk and a bunch of other stuff.
Yes.
But let me ask you about a few. Let me ask you about like Dead Weight,
Yeah.
example. And like you mentioned that you've lived like 5 lives and have just like and you do, and you're great, and your energy is phenomenal.
Thank you.
What kind of like energy are you like no longer tolerating in your life right now? Like what kind of people, whether it's friendships, romantic, professional, what's the energy that can come close to you and with intent?
I always approach situations and people. I'm like the least judgmental person. I don't judge. I let people show me who they are, and I have a no drama, no bullshit policy. Come to me, show me who you are, um, and just be a good human. It's not that hard. Uh, so anything that doesn't serve my happiness, my peace, my growth, understanding and willing to understand and grow more, I don't want it.
Well,
I don't want it.
and
Just
it
be a good
also
human, you know?
common sense, but it's like harder to find
It's
now.
well, because people, there's jealousy, there's insecurity, there's all these things that
Trauma.
make traumas that make it so hard for people to just be and let go of things that don't serve them or fear the judgment. I mean, I used to be so afraid to post on social media because I was like, oh, I don't know if this is right. It doesn't sound perfect. I look weird. Like, people are gonna judge, but you got to just say fuck it
Yeah.
and just do it anyway.
Yeah.
And that's a muscle that I've learned to work, and I'm still learning and growing and trying to accept it, to continue to do it. But you got to put yourself out there and be true and authentic to who you are.
Yeah. Let's finish off with the co-writing that you did for the EP, Qwynn.
Yeah.
Was that I mean, I know it's different from LA. Have you enjoyed that? Like coming into a room with people and opening up your heart, and
Oh, yeah.
or was that easy for you?
So, I mean, in order to get the best result, you really got to go in and be open and honest with your co-writers, and it's such a superpower to be able to do that, to walk in the room and be like, hey, so like say for you and I, we were getting together, right? Like, hey, Jamie, what's up? How are you? Where are you from? 5 minutes later. So what have you been struggling with recently? Like, what childhood traumas are presenting in your adult life right now? Because I'm feeling this, and then just giving people the opportunity, like a safe place to talk about real life shit that we go through, because it's a human experience, and seeing what we can get into in the nitty gritty and talk about it and explore it and then write about it.
Totally. I mean, you're kicking ass, Qwynn,
Thank
and we're so happy that you showed up at this point in your career in our show.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to.
I think I know where you're going, and it's all good stuff. And I mean, and you're doing it for the right reasons, so you have a lot of lights to give. So excited for you to spread that with the world. So
I just can't wait to keep working and collaborating with incredible artists and just keeping on.
I love it, Qwynn. Thank you so much for coming.
Jamie, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning in. Click here to subscribe and get the latest from the show, including exclusive behind-the-scenes footage and once-in-a-lifetime performances. And as always, thank you for making J-Rock Concerts Media part of your day.